principle for today is Nia. Nia. And Nia means purpose. As a matter of fact, how the whole principle is written out, it's like this. It says it focuses on building and developing our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. I don't know how I ended up with the longest word and the shortest word of our Kwanzaa principles, but that's all right. Let's jump in. The Kwanzaa principle of purpose, or Nia, doesn't exactly mean the same as our longer word when we did on day 2, our Kujichagulia, which had us being self-determined. This idea of purpose is much more missional and service-oriented. One of our resources says, as on this day, each family member should examine his or her ability to put his or her skill or talent to use in the service of the family and community at large. We take this time to reflect on your expectations from life, discuss your desires and hopes with family and friends. On this day, you should try to determine if this purpose will eventually result in positive achievements for family and community. This idea of the mission-driven aspect of our purpose, it has to have us leaning into how do we serve? How do we use our gifts and or talents to serve others in our community, whether that community is your local family, those who live in your house, whether that community is your actual community, the people who live next to your house, or your spiritual community, those who you meet up with at the worship house. In every one of those sections, your responsibility when we're thinking about the Kwanzaa principle of Nia is, how do I serve with those things that I know how to do to lift us or move us toward our collective greatness. We've got that phrase that we hear from time to time, that a rising tide raises all ships. Well, your gift and your talent, your abilities would be the rising tide in this situation. And as you use what you have to serve those in your community, whether that's in your home, on your block, or at your church, you will notice that others will also be better as a result. When I talked to you for our second day about self-determination, we leaned into looking at the book of Daniel, chapter 1. Well, I'm going to take you back to the book of Daniel, and this time we're going to look at chapter 2. I'm going to reflect really quickly on something we know that happens in chapter 1 of Daniel, where he purposed in his heart. We talked about that already. But a little bit further down in the text, we also learn that Daniel had a particular gift. He was gifted with an ability to interpret dreams and visions. In chapter 2, we see his gift in action. As a matter of fact, what we recognize in chapter 2, many of you who read your Bible, and if you've never read it, go in Daniel chapter 2, it will say Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And what we learn about this is the king of Babylon. This is not the Hebrew king. This is not the king that Daniel would naturally pay allegiance to. This is the man who captured him. This is the man who has placed him in his employ. This is the man who is keeping him as a prisoner. This man has a dream, wakes up, can't remember the dream, but he is bothered about it. And he is now going to look at everyone in his kingdom, all of his soothsayers and wise people, the elders on his council, and he's demanding that someone be able to explain his dream. First, they got to remember the dream, then interpret the dream for him. He sends this edict command out to his people, and they do not get the response, or he does not get the response that he's looking for, to the point where he is willing to sacrifice the lives of all of these people on his council if he does not get an answer that is sufficient. If he doesn't get what he wants, people are going to lose their lives. Well, word finally gets to Daniel and his friends, and Daniel says, hey, nobody gonna lose their life today. Take me over to the El Jefe, the big dude, and we'll work this thing out. Daniel's belief in his God allowed him to not already know his purpose, but be able to employ the gifting that he has. Quickly through the story, Daniel goes in and he does interpret the dream. He does explain to Nebuchadnezzar what his dream is all about. And what the Bible lets us know in Daniel chapter 2, that Daniel and his friends receive honor and promotion as a result of what Daniel is able to do for the king. Daniel's gifting allowed the king to have peace. But not only did it give peace to the king, but it saved the lives of all of those people that the king was willing to put to death because he did not have an answer for what was going on with him. Your purpose, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to use the gifts and talents that God has given you to bless those who are around you, whether those people are in your home, on your block, or at your church. They might even be at your job. Maybe they're at your school, but you've been gifted in any myriad ways that you would be able to bless others. And when we think about this principle of Nia, the idea again comes back, how can I use what God has given me to be able to bless my community so that everybody would be able to move forward? One of those urban colloquialisms we like to hear, that it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. We want to be able to share what we have with others to raise up our community. We have got so many people within the African diaspora who have been business owners, people who are leading in worship spaces, people who are leading in tech, people who are leading in academia. And we need, I'll stick a pin right there, we need many more African Americans or people of the African diaspora in academia. And we need to be able to use what God has given you and what God has given me to be able to be more than what we have been in the past. See, that's what Nia allows us to do. How can I serve others by what I have? So that is our principle for today, Nia, N-I-A, and that will be how we can celebrate this day of Kwanzaa, day number 5. God bless you.